politics here in France we're going to talk about now. That's because the newspapers are full of it. It's the rentrée here in France, rentrée politically anyway, and primaries, they're all talking about the papers, aren't they?
Yeah, we're going to go straight to Le Figaro, start there. They're talking about the primaries for Les Républicains, or the Republicans. That's the conservative party here in France. Former President Nicolas Sarkozy was leading it. He stepped down so he could throw his hat into the ring as a challenger. On their front page, the headline there is "The battle for the primary is underway," showing a photo of Sarkozy and his former foreign minister, Alain Juppé. Those two men seem to be the front runner here in the primary. Also running is François Fillon, and he was Sarkozy's prime minister. So if we go and take a look inside the paper, they've done a poll to sort of see which candidate is coming out on top. And of the three polls that they run, Sarkozy and Juppé are always on top. The numbers shift a little bit. One has Juppé ahead 37 to 31%. Another has them tied at 34%. And the final one shows Sarko leading 37 to 30%. But now there's 2 rounds of voting here in this primary. So the top 2 candidates make it through and then they vote again. And in that case, every single poll shows Alain Juppé coming out ahead of Nicolas Sarkozy.
Okay, we shall wait and see when those votes are finally taken. Some papers reporting that this is really starting to turn quite nasty now, though.
Right. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, François Fillon is also in the running. Here it looks like he's third, and maybe he's not going to make it through to the final, but he's really kind of upped his attacks on his former colleague, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy. And this comes from the editorial pages of Libération. The title of the column there says "Fight," and the columnist is likening the current showdown to a Wild West, a Western here. It's like the good, the bad, and the ugly, saying that these recent days Fillon has upped his attacks, bringing up the investigations that have surrounded Sarkozy, calling his proposal stupid and idiotic, saying, you know, this is not the tone of a primary contest. Instead, it's the tone of primitive violence here, and says that in actual fact, the contest is bringing out the worst in the candidates, and it's exposing the Republicans as a party filled with naked ambition and deploying destructive uppercuts.
And this leads into a poll that Libération has conducted as well, doesn't it?
Yes, that's right. The paper here was asking the question, are the opposition Republicans credible? I mean, will they do a better job running the government? And the poll found that for the majority of the French people, whether it was Juppé, Sarkozy, or Fillon, that they didn't feel they would do much better on fighting unemployment or terrorism than the current president we have, François Hollande. It says that 66% say the left would be better, 56% say the center would be better, 59% say the National Front would be better, and just 52% say that the Republicans would be better. And the paper goes on to say, you know, maybe there's a ray of hope here for the left, that if they can muster a bit of enthusiasm, unite themselves, they might have an opportunity in the presidential elections.
Okay, it really is poll day in the papers, isn't it? Now, let's move on to some other news now. First, there was the heated debate, of course, over the bikini here in France, which critics said was a symbol of the non-integration of Muslims into French life. Now, a restaurant has refused to serve Muslim customers.
This comes from the French edition of the Huffington Post, and apparently someone caught this exchange on video, camera phone, posted it online. It went viral. So the HuffPost is reporting on this encounter. So you see 2 women in a hijab in this restaurant in a suburb of Paris, and the man who's believed to be the chef of the restaurant goes on to say that terrorists are Muslims and all Muslims are terrorists. And he continues his tirade in this vein, saying they've killed a priest and I don't want people like you here. And he tells the women that they've got to get out. And the women say, "Don't worry, we're leaving." Well, the reaction, of course, was complete and utter shock here that someone would just be so rude and refuse to serve customers who come in for a meal. The Muslim community in Tremblay, en France, has demanded answers. Apparently, on Sunday, the man apologized, said he was emotional. He had a friend who died in the Bataclan. This wasn't exactly really what he felt. Local prosecutors have launched an investigation into this, and politicians have called for sanctions against the restaurant's intolerable behavior.